Alright, so we're going to take a look at this clip from Apologia Comedia. I'll never understand how to say this. It's titled, Tony Hinchcliffe Finally Read the Comments. I think it's supposed to be finally reads the comments, but either way, let's see.
People always go, aren't you afraid of AI? No, not afraid of AI. What I'm afraid of is clips, short context things. And I'm afraid of that for you.
Yeah, that's true in some ways, but it's also benefits you in some ways too. It's like there's good and bad. Like there's little things that you'll say that are funny that make it into clips, and that's good too. It's like the thing. Like I was talking to Tony about this because we were talking about people that complain about his show and talk about his show. I go, dude, they work for you. They don't realize it, but they work for you. They're the publicity arm, the negative publicity arm for the Kill Tony show. You don't worry about it and don't care.
Yeah.
You can't.
I mean, you gotta love how they really know how to spin it. They've all figured out a way to spin this stuff into a positive. As I've been saying, these are people that will eat shit right in front of you and still attempt to convince you that it was chocolate. It's insane, guys. What are we even doing?
You can't, you know.
Write a book on that. Teach me how to not care.
You just got to get to a point where you don't have to care anymore. Like, it's not going to affect you.
So it looks like Tony Hinchcliffe has finally went down the rabbit hole of online hate. He did what Rogan warns all of his friends not to do. He read the comments.
Don't read the comments.
And in doing so, he discovered he is now officially the new lol cow of the Rogan sphere, which puts him in very prestigious company. He's following...
Well, the funny thing is when you don't read the comments as a new creator, unlike Rogan, who came into this shit with somebody to read the comments for him, when you're a new person in here, the only way to get better is by reading the comments. You know, you're gonna get some enlightenment from some very entitled assholes, okay? It is rare, but sometimes it's necessary.
Following in the footsteps of the greats who came before him, like Brian Callen, Brendan Schaub, and Bert Kreischer. Schaub doesn't even really do comedy anymore. Bert has more or less faded himself out of popular culture through sheer exposure and self-inflicted hate. So comedy fans, being the loving and supportive people that they are, have decided it's the perfect time to let Tony know exactly how he's perceived. And thanks to Joe Rogan, who absolutely does not care about airing out his friends' emotional baggage to millions of people, we now...
I do want to add here that it is kind of funny that this guy's channel is so big and his content does so well, but yet he's not really ever mentioned among the top guys. It's probably because the channel name is too hard to say.
We now know that Tony is finally starting to realize what's happening. He's beginning to understand that he is the new Brendan Schaub. The first time Rogan sold him out was from that first clip when he had Jeff Dye on. But recently Rogan had Ethan Hawke on. And when Ethan brings up an actor friend who was completely devastated by online comments, Joe jumps in and says one of his comedian friends is going through the exact same thing. And based on that first clip and everything we've seen since, it seems pretty obvious to me he's talking about Tony.
Well, it's gotta be Tony Hinchcliffe. It's gotta be. Because all of the other guys have been dealing with it, right? It's not relatively new. Tony might have just stumbled upon this shit. Whereas he does have a lot of, dick writers, for sure. I think there's certainly a lot of people making videos, such as myself, where you're like, hey, this guy stinks, man. He's the worst part of the show.
I've seen it happen to actors, especially if you're doing stage. I'm sure with comics, it's when you're doing a play and you have to do it every night and you start reading a lot of bad things that people say about you. It is demolishing to your confidence. I had this actor friend of mine. We shared dressing room, and one day he came in, and he was great in the show. And he came in, and his whole energy was dark. I was like, "You all right?" He's I went down the rabbit hole last night.
You have to imagine, though, these guys that are doing plays before the internet even existed had to deal with that. Actors themselves have had to deal with that. Comedians, it's new. That's why Red Bar is held so highly, okay? Because he was the guy that sort of normalized this critiquing of comedy and comedians themselves. Not just their stand-up performance. Them as a human. And once everybody started doing a podcast, they started oversharing. And we get introduced to even more just sad human behavior. Truly. I mean, one guy's eating dog food, another comedian's wife is not drying off after a shower. Like, I mean, of course, that's weird behavior, but there is some that is even more bizarre where it turns almost criminal.
Read what people are saying about me on the internet, and everybody thinks I'm terrible.
I had the exact same.
But again, it is easier to access these people these days, right? Rather than back before the internet existed. If you wanted to send, Jack Nicholson a hate letter in the 80s, you would have to get pen and paper and find his address, okay? Now you can just look him up online. Find an email. You could send it to 1,000 different places because you're that mad. But at the end of the day, you just have to be like, hey, man, who cares?
Same conversation last night with a famous comedian friend of mine.
Really?
I won't say his name, but he went down a Reddit rabbit hole the other night.
I don't do it anymore. I don't do it.
He goes, I f***ed up and I went down this rabbit hole.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
No good comes from it.
And he was like, hate me. I go, no. They hate themselves. They hate everything.
No, here's the thing that bothers me about Reddit, too, is it is a place that people want to put on a pedestal, like as if it's useful. And yet all you hear is like, oh, all the guys that are shooting up places and shit like that, assassinating people, are hanging out on Reddit. They're hanging out on 4chan, right? They're super anonymous. It's dark. It's gross. It is isolating. And it's only going to continue to happen until stuff like this gets, I don't know, monitored better, I guess.
There's no, like, Michael Jordan's not leaving Reddit comments. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, these aren't winners. These are people that are not doing what they want to be doing. And they want to hate on everybody that's out there in the public eye. And some of it is valid.
I actually think Joe is partially right. Most people leaving hate comments aren't enlightened critics. The comments...
I can say that. Absolutely. I do agree with that. I get them myself. I mean, I recently got told that somebody was going to dox me. Like, well, I mean, what are we doing, guys? When it was, 4 months ago that I was being told that my channel only has 500 and something subscribers? Now you're going to dox me? It's weird. People are vile, and mental illness is running rampant, okay?
Comment section is just a quick, anonymous outlet. I've done it. I'm not above it. We've all had a bad day. But here's the problem. When it comes to Tony, Bert, or Brendan, the hate is valid. We've always had terrible comedians become famous. That's not new. But the internet makes it so much easier to tear people down who are not worthy of the fame they've reached, and who absolutely do not deserve to be labeled comedians. Just because you have a podcast does not make you a comedian. Now
he says that and shows a picture of Theo Von and Joe Rogan, which is spot on because, much like Andrew Schultz and Tim Dillon, you guys are podcasters. You're funny with a microphone in a pre-recorded session where you can rant and talk to guests, okay? In a stand-up setting, writing a joke doesn't work. And people are not paying to come to your show because they expect you to be good at stand-up. So stop saying that. Stop pretending you're a good stand-up. We know better.
some of you are going to say there's no proof Joe is talking about Tony, that it could be anyone. But who else would it be? Joe's other friends, Bert and Schaub, have known they're hated for years.
Yep.
It could be Callan, but we're throwing Tony under the bus, so go with it. And even though Joe...
Well, I would also question the fact that Joe called him a famous comedian. That right there would make me question it being Tony. Like, he's not fucking famous. Where? What, is he going to do another cool roast for Comedy Central? I mean, what are we doing? What, because he got on Netflix, we're supposed to all bow now? Hey, man, everybody's getting on Netflix, dude, and all of that shit is unwatchable. Did anybody watch Tom Segura's special? Okay? Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, they all released sort of simultaneously. These are big names, and I don't care about any of them. I can't sit through it, dude. I just can't anymore. I used to love it. I used to look forward to it. Not just those guys, but stand-up specials in general. And now it's like, hey, here's what we're not allowed to say. and here's how I'm going to figure out how to say it. Boring.
Joe never outright says it's Tony. Anyone who watches JRE knows this isn't the first time Joe has accidentally exposed one of his friends. He did the exact same thing to Tom Segura. He'll talk in detail about a friend but won't mention their name. Then 3 to 6 months later, he forgets he told the same story and will...
Now, here's the irony, is I recently covered Whitney Cummings saying that she's hearing comedians call out comedians by name. And yet, here's Joe Rogan talking about another comedian and specifically says that he won't say his name. I'm seeing a lot of not name saying. Why? What are you afraid of? Anyways, guys, go check out the rest of this video. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.